That means you can be black. You can have dark pigmentation. The ACTH of the pituitary combined with the pineal make for melanin capacity, and that's what lets you carry on the work, because it gives you a third kind of energy, and that's what this whole bit is about nowadays, because that third kind of energy is coming back around again. Okay. When we find that the Greeks came in there, they used these CHs, and when they told them that King Khufu had built it, they said, Cheops, and thus it is. The people used K's because it represented a crane posed. That's where your word K, your letter K came from. They used hieroglyphics, which are sacred writings, versus petroglyphics, which are rock writings. The sacred writings had a sacred alphabet, and the K was a means to say that this creature could fly and ascend to the gods. So you had K names when you were a high type individual. Khufu is what his name was. Cheops is what they called him. The pyramid to the right there, they call it Mykrionitis pyramid. Mykrionitis pyramid. There was no Mykrinos or Mykrinos there because that's a Greek name. Greeks did not build the pyramid. We find that what they were trying to say was Mankure, the second pharaoh of the second temple to the right, which they call the unclassified pyramid. When they went to the one on the left, they call it Shephrins. What do we got again? CH, right? There was no Shephrin amongst the Egyptians. He was called King Khafre, Khafre. They don't even know the names of the people who were connected with the pyramids, and I didn't even say built them, because here comes the real mysteries. First of all, I had to destroy or at least challenge the foolishness and childlikeness that we have been taught and that they're teaching their own. Now, if you can begin to see how that has to be a fairy tale, any tale I now weave has a hard way to go to compare with the lie you've already believed. So give me now that privilege to tell you what some of the ancient books, what the ancient people there say about the great pyramids, their builders, and why. And then I'm going to end up on a note, and then I'm going to turn it over to you. Story goes amongst the Arabs there, amongst some of the Egyptian people, and amongst some of the things that were found at the University of Sangaree, at the Songhai Empire, when, if you understand again, there were lots of universities in Africa. Let me use the correct word. There are lots of universities in Kema. And people from around this planet who were uneducated journeyed there to become educated. When so-called Alexander the Who built the Alexandrian Museum and Library, he didn't build doodly squat. What he did was to raise what he almost tore down, the great temple library at the city of On, and rename it. And then, after he died of syphilis, 9 years in Egypt, that's what he died of, his first general, Ptolemy, had sense enough to listen to some of the Egyptian priests and the stories, and they found out that it was the Nubian people that had spoon-raised the Egyptians in the first place, and they had lots of temples and lots of pyramids throughout Africa, and they're still hiding that fact. I can prove it. What they stated, that to a wandering tribe of people, there came a sound as of the humming and swarming of bees, and that by day and night a great light shone. And they journeyed hence to where this light came from, and the sound of the swarming of bees had filled their ears, and they came upon the land where the great pyramid was already in magnificence. That is the most ancient legend connected with the building of the pyramid. When they got there, they found alabaster prismatic type pyramids with the great eye of Horus shining forth, simply meaning that the pyramids had a top that shone, that the light shone by moonlight and sunlight, and that it was alabaster white, and great people dressed in white robes with gold sandals and gold ties and gold headdresses, very tall, dwelt there and bade the best of those tribes come there for learning, and 3 to 6 months out of the year they sent their best and were schooled by the gods. Did you hear that? Yes. If they told you a fairy tale, please listen to mine, because it has a beautiful going and a wonderful ending. Yes. They stated that once they were there, that they taught them a language, told them to build their cities, and told them how to build it to get the best energy out of it, and took their best scholars to teach. And these scholars would go away for 3 to 6 months out of the year, which meant that they had to be someplace other than in those pyramids. For the story is that they had a tramway system underground that led to ancient cities by which they could traverse the oceans and walk the earth underground. Thus come in the legends of Horus. Thus come in the legends again of the man who walked in the underworld. And thus your Egyptians' preoccupation with the underworld and Netherlands, and a belief in reincarnation and a belief in many gods, but one supreme being. Because they found out that earth was peopled with gods, that experiments were going on here, and these laboratory people were trying to get the best ones to elevate. Now we really get into heavy fairy tales. Now we really get in to mind-bending things. Before this sounds two-way out, as the other was two-way out, let me state that they now have come up with what is called the straight line theory of pyramids. That concept is that if you take a pyramid and you start a straight line architecturing the earth itself, and you go across it to the other side, you'll probably find within a mile or so another pyramid. Not a mile, within a few blocks another pyramid. And that the straight line theory prevails all around. No matter where the other side, if it leads to the bottom of an ocean, into a valley, wherever it is, you will find another pyramid. They have pyramids right here in the state of Illinois. Down there near Edwardsville, Collinsville, near what they call the Cahokia Mounds. Down there near the city, interesting, of Cairo, really pronounced Cairo. It was only a duplicate, just like Memphis and Philadelphia are duplicates, as the people here understood what had gone on this planet. Down there now, you can still go and see in the Cahokia State Park another pyramid they're still calling Indian Mounds. That's another lecture in its own self, too, because there's no such thing as an Indian here on this continent, unless he came over from the East Indies. They had another name, too. We'll go into that one day. The pyramids are everywhere. There's a book out, and I only know one person amongst many of melanin carriers that was going around using this term, and if you've listened to me for a long time, you will find that I'm not lying to you. I don't like to lie. I was using this term, at least back in '76 when I had a radio program. Now I find they got a whole book on it. The term is Olmec. Olmec, O-L-M-E-C, Olmec. Okay? I stated that the original people in the Americas were the Olmecs. Not the Toltecs, not the Aztecs, not the Teotihuacans, not the Mayans, the Olmecs. And that the Olmecs also built pyramids throughout South America, Lower Saskatchewan, Canada, and in the mid-Atlantic range and basin states in the America that we now call North America. Now they got a book on it. Oldest civilization, but in Mexico. They still haven't got the United States yet. But you'll find that Mexico was older than the United States. And then they show you the picture of the Olmec. Aren't you disappointed? It looks some cross between Caucasoid and Mongoloid. And you know that this must be the Olmec because you see the statue. But what's interesting, they don't show you what's in the statue's lap. Now that begins to look like a Negroid person. To show you how they still can't tell the truth even when they try, this is the Olmec, and this is a person carrying the fallen body of his gods, but when you take it to frontispiece, you think that that was the Olmec. So buried in the book, what they should have put on its cover is the real Olmec. A Caucasoid.